Okay, this webcast is really intended for people who have perhaps had to start looking at the grading tools. Perhaps done some training, and that might be the last time you've seen them, or you've done some sort of basic stuff, but perhaps haven't had a chance to go through all of the tools yet and see how they all work. Some of the more interesting ones I'll be having a look at, and different ways of working with these grading surfaces. It's not really intended as a high-end, very difficult session. It's more of an intermediate level look at grading tools and a bit of a recap and refresh. So let's go with the PowerPoint here. So I'm going to make something roughly like that, a bit of a dam and a bit of a water surface behind it, and have a play around, cut a spillway into it, and just talk through some of the issues some people have while working with these gratings commonly. Okay, you can see I put a couple of little buses on there just for realism. You can dress these things up as much as you want once you get them done. So let's go and have a look at a demo at CiVil 3D itself. So I'm using CiVil 3D 2013 here at the moment, and there are a few new tools being put into there. Around the grading, not so much, which is good in many ways, but they worked a lot on stability, and it seems to be, well, it's certainly come a long way in the last couple of years. First thing to really talk about with gratings is these things called sites. So over in the tool space here, we've got the sites, and by default there may or may not be a site 1 in your drawing. We can make some new ones, and they have a number of items in the drop down below them over in this tool space here. A site is, it's not a great name for what it is, to be honest. People think of a site as a building site, a physical area on the ground. It's not that at all. What it is just a container. Let me zoom in here a little bit. Okay, basically it's a container that contains a number of objects, feature lines, parcels, grading groups, and alignments in each one. And you can see those listed in the tool space over to the side here. The objects within Site 1, it's designed so they all interact with each other if they're in the same container, bucket if you like to think of it as a bucket. I like to call it a bucket. In the other container we've got a whole bunch of other feature lines, parcels, grading groups, and alignments, and they all work together. But the objects in the container on the left do not interact with the objects in the container on the right, and likewise the ones on the right do not interact with the ones on the left, just because they're in separate sites or separate containers. Typically you'd want your alignments not to be in a site. When you make an alignment, you've got the option to use the none site, and that puts them up here in the tool space. It's a good practice to get into that habit unless you specifically want your alignments to interact with these other objects. Feature lines is what you start your grading with, and the grading groups is what you make to make a grading. So those two must be in the same container in order for them to work together. If they're in separate containers, they're not going to be able to see each other. You do need to keep a little bit of a logical process working if you're making multiple different sites in a drawing. But we're going to run with what we've got, and hopefully you'll see that working as we go. Okay, so I've got my standard CiVil 3D surface over here, and I've got a couple little points marked on it for the edge of where I want to put this little dam on the surface and make a pond up in the valley up behind it to the north here. So let me start doing that. I'm just going to draw a polyline, straight out 2D polyline. It could be 3D if we wanted. Snap it to there, and go straight across to that point. I'm going to come down to my other marked point, and straight back to there. Should have that on node really. And see if it closes. And that's going to be the crest of my dam. Nice thing about polylines So we've got these grips in the middle of them now, and I'm going to convert that to an arc and just put a little bit of bend in it, just for realism's sake. Convert that to an arc as well. You just hover over that grip and you get the options. If you haven't seen that before. And put a bit more bend in that perhaps. Of course I could be more precise than this, but I won't get too carried away. Oops, might as well get it looking roughly parallel. There we go. Okay, so that's going to be the crest of my dam. The way you really probably want to make a feature line is from the feature line drop down in the ribbon here. Create feature line is, well, you can do it that way, but you have to type in a whole bunch of stuff on the command line as you're entering it. It's a bit of a pain. The easiest way is to create feature line from objects, the second option. So that's why I put my polyline first, and simply turn that into a feature line. Select it. We'll put it in site 1, or actually we could make a new site. So let's click that button to make a new site, and we'll call this dam. And go OK. So it's making a new container. This particular feature line, we'll call it crest. Good idea to get in the habit of naming your feature lines so you can pick them from a list. The style will be fine. We're going to erase the polyline, which would be nice. So we don't get two objects over the top of each other, and we'll go OK, and it just turned green colour there. So whenever I create anything in Civil 3D, in 3D sense, first thing I'll do is flip it up and have a look at it in the object viewer, and I can see that my crest is there at the levels I was intending. It's above the surface. I'm all happy. So that is good. Alright, let's just start off a bit of a grading here. So again, as I was saying, it needs to be in the same bucket or container as the feature line that I've just made. So I've made a feature line here. The next one down is grading. Grading creation tools, which brings up the little toolbar. I always check out the first icons here to fill in the information at the bottom of this little panel first. So click on the first one. The site's going in the dam site, which is correct, same as the feature line. It needs to make a new grading group in that site. That's one of the other things that can be in that bucket, in that container. So let's call it dam faces for the name of the grading group. And we'll turn on automatic surface creation as well and put the surface on a style of contours at 0.5 of a meter. It's probably not bad. And let's go for tessellation spacing and tessellation angle, just controls how finely arcs are divided up. It needs to deal with those. The default's usually not too bad, but you can come back and change that later on in the properties of the grading group if need be. And we can tick on volume-based surface if we want to get some volumes out against the edgy surface. So, go OK. That's how it's going to do for my surface. That's fine. We'll run with that. And go OK and OK. And we can dam faces there, and the surface it's targeting is EG. Click on this icon. That's what it's going to use as the end of the batter slopes if we put in batter slopes, which we will be. And that's reported down there in the grading creation tools. Okay. We can change layers that it's going on, etc. And also we want to pick the criteria set that we're going to use. Okay, so that gives us this. Don't worry about these standard ones in there, they're not really needed, and I'll see if we can get rid of those out of the next template that we make, so it avoids confusion. But let me just go and make sort of the downstream face of this dam first. So I'm going to specify a, I'll scroll down to the bottom actually, and I'm going to go and tell it to find a surface at a particular slope. Surface at slope is fine. We hit the create grading button over here on the right, and we tell it, it's asking us on the command line to select the feature line you want to use. And so we're going to select that one, select the grading side, it's on the down slope. Now apply to entire length, let's put no. When you do that, you get a little arrow that runs around your feature line that you've created, so you can say where it starts, where it finishes. I'm going to click there to say it's going to start at that particular point, and then it asks to confirm the station, so I'm going to hit enter, and then you can see it makes two little arrows that specify where it's going to make this grading from and to. So I'm going to come over to here somewhere. I'm going to do something interesting with the back face of the stem. Ordinarily you wouldn't do this, but it just demonstrates some of the grading tools. So click there, that's the station I want. Cut slope 2:1 and fill slope 2:1. Why not? I'll just leave it with defaults, and it puts them there and creates a surface for us. Alright, so that's the first little thing that people may not have seen in training, is the ability to do it just over part of the feature line. But then you want to know, well, how do we fill in the rest? So let's do this again, surface slope. It's going to come off of that feature line, it's going to be on the outside, and let's just run it with a bit of a gap between the two, run it from there, enter to confirm that station, over to, if I can get this just in the right spot, there it is, and confirm that is the point we want to run it to, and let's make it 3.5 to 1 or something like that. When you read that in CiVil 3D, it's actually running the rice around the other way, so it's actually 1 in 3.5 is what it's actually doing. There we go, so we got two faces like that. Let's escape at that point and let's have a look at the surface it's created in the object viewer. So we've got two slopes, one steeper than the other, and we need to somehow bridge the gap between the two. And this is what a transition is for. This is something else that people may not have seen if they haven't played around with these very much. And it takes a few moments to figure out how it works if you haven't seen it before. But just before we get onto that, I can actually pick one of these feature lines, say the one on the edge of an area that I've just made before, where my grading ran to and from, and you'll find there's a little tiny little grip on the feature line itself, so I can select that, move it to where I want, and we're changing the properties of the feature line there. We're changing that width of that gap, or where the grading is running to and from as we need to, which is good. So that's, and you can get the same by clicking on the other one over here, of course, just another grip. So that can be modified after the fact too. What we want to do here though is go, and from the drop down where we created the gratings before, we can go create transition. When you do the create transition, it says select the feature on the command line, so select the feature line that we want to run it off, and then it asks for a location between two gratings, which is why I left this gap. You simply click in that area there, it fills it in and looks about right, so hit enter or escape. Escape works better, and you can see it's put in that, filled in that gap. Now you will find on many occasions that the contour lines look a bit wavy in there. The reason is, if you have a look at it in the object viewer, it's the way it's triangulating. It's really got no other way it can really do that. So it's triangulating up and down the face. It's really only affecting that face. The top and the bottom, as you can see, is perfectly the right shape and the smoothness it should be. Okay, so that's creating a transition. Now what we probably want to do is create the front face, or the upstream face of this dam. So let's change our, let's change to create a grading again. Select our feature line, so the grading side on the top side, and I'm going to come from here, just the 0 point, and stretch it down to that. And let's make that also go with the defaults of 2:1. Last but not least, we want to fill in the gap in the top of that surface. So we go and create an infill, and you can see when you move your cursor over a closed polyline, closed feature line, it highlights, and just click in there, enter or escape. So when you pick our surface here, right click, object view, we've got a interesting shape of the dam there. Well, obviously, yes, you probably wouldn't have an earth dam if this is an earth dam. That has that sort of curve and different slopes, but you might have a concrete retaining wall, something over a small portion of it, perhaps before it gets too high. You could certainly steepen this up and mimic that quite happily, which you might do using the ability to change these gratings once you've got in here. So let's have a go at that. So off next to where we created the grating here before, we've also got some delete grating and edit grating. If we hit edit grating, it simply says select a point in the grating to edit, and I'm going to be interested in modifying this one here, and it runs you back through the requests on the command line that it made when you created that. So instead of having a 1 and 2 slope on there, let's steepen it right up. Let's go to a 1 and 0.5. And let's steepen that right up. I'm going to hit escape. It'll do that with our surface there, and we'll see a much more, perhaps that's more of a concrete edge of a dam, and then splays out, and then we can do the rest with earth on that side, perhaps, or realistically probably wouldn't happen, but at least you can see the ways you can make different shapes happen with these gratings. So that's just using that transition, which a lot of people may not have seen in training, and may not have known that it was there. Okay, let me just do a little save of my drawing at this point. Just drop on the desktop, I think. Oh, no, it's already saved. That's good. Okay. So we probably want to make a combined surface out of these two, and then we can play with water levels up the back behind the dam. And then we'll look at cutting a bit of a spillway in here, perhaps. So what I'm going to do, and this is, if you've forgotten this, it's a good thing to know, I want to combine or paste together the dam surface and my existing ground surface. That's what I'd like to do. The way we do that is make a third surface. You can't paste the dam directly into EG because the EG surface, existing ground, was used as a target for that dam and the dam surface. So you're making a circular reference, and it's probably going to complain if we try and do that. Also, if we do it via this method, it means if we update any of those surfaces, for instance, change that grating, it's going to carry through those updates to the new combined surface that we're about to make. So let's make one. So back on the Home tab of the ribbon, we go Surfaces, Create Surface. Let's call it Combined. Good idea in the description to call it what it actually is, EG plus dam. And let's give it a style of triangulated so we can see it as it's forming, so we can see exactly what we're doing. Good idea to put in descriptions on your Civil 3D objects for people that are picking up your drawing after you've finished with it, or in a couple of years' time down the track when they decide they've actually got enough money to build whatever it is you've designed. It keeps a bit of a track of what you've actually done if you're filling out those descriptions. It does make it easier for people following along after you. So let's go OK. And we should see in the surface collection now we've got a combined surface and we've got our dam faces and our EG surface. Simply expand out the combined surface, right click on Edits and go Paste. First one we paste in will be the EG, usually the larger one. You can see the triangulation's updated in the background there. Yep, you should be able to see those cyan triangles now. And then we paste in the dam faces surface, and we'll see the triangles updated for that as well. Just a moment, there it goes. So we've got our final combined surface here, so have a look at that in the object viewer. Created something new in 3D, always have a look at it to make sure I haven't stuffed it up in the object viewer, and that's looking not too bad. Okay. What I'm going to do is just zoom in on this here and show you that the whole thing is dynamic. When you paste them together this way, it does mean they're dynamic. I'm just going to put the combined surface on Rebuild Automatic. And I think we'll find my dam face's surface is. So it's just a right click and Rebuild will tick it on, tick it off as you need to. Select the surface just with the display order, send it to the back for the moment, which means I should be able to select. There we go, down in there. There we go, we get my grip on my feature line again, and I can pull that out further. My grading will upgrade, and both my surfaces will upgrade, so you can see the cyan triangulation is updated as well. That's the point of really pasting the surfaces together by making a third one initially, that the whole thing is completely dynamic, as it needs to be. Okay, so let me just put that on a different style for the moment. Just fade it into the background a little bit. I might leave it on triangles, but I'm just going to call it ANZ Triangulation using the country kit, and it goes for a nice grey colour. Alright, this is something else people may or may not have remembered from training, or may not have even seen before, is the ability to make your own contours at a particular level. So I'm going to come into the top of this crest of the dam here on the upstream side, and I get a level there of dam face 67.178 meters. Okay, let's say that wants to be the exact height, or 67.18 meters wants to be the exact height of the highest level of the water surface on the dam. Okay, let's do that. The way we do that is to pick that combined surface we've just made and go into the surface properties. Let's do it from the ribbon there. Then go into the analysis tab, and it's a type of analysis. So from the drop down, I'm going to select user defined contours, and you can make as many new contours as you want to see, really. The number, let's go and just make one. Hit the little secret run analysis down arrow to actually make something happen and fill in this table down the bottom. I think the color is going to be changed through here, so I'm going to select that button and let's make it some sort of light green so we can see it, yellowy green, and simply specify the elevation we want, which was 67.18. There we go. And go OK. Go apply on that. But what I'm also going to do is play around with the style, because that's probably, those user-defined contours are probably turned off in the style. So going back to the information tab of the properties of that surface. We'll just edit this one directly and just tick on the user contours down here in plan direction. OK and OK, and we should find that we have now a, zoom in a bit, probably could have chosen the colour a little better, but it's a slightly greeny yellow coloured contour running around the edge there. That is our contour at exactly the elevation of 67.18 which we specified. Alright, so I'd like to get that out and use it as my water surface, so we can select it, and it selects the whole surface, and we can use extract objects from the ribbon, and we don't want the triangles but we do want the user contours. We go OK, and that simply extracts them as polylines. So we've now got a polyline that runs all the way around the dam at that level. Just what I was after. So simply I'm going to make a water surface out of that. So we need another surface. So come up to the ribbon, or any way you like to create a surface. There's usually 3 or 4 ways you could do it. Give it the name water, description. You could put the levels, or yep. So it's called 67.18, wasn't it? And let me just put on a style of triangulation, make it cyan so it looks like water. And we have a look at it. Go, okay. We've got this new surface called water, and simply I'm going to add that polyline we just created as a break line. And we can call it, yeah, break line would be the one. Call it, what's it, 68.18. Type of standard, which is fine. Middle distance is fine. We don't have any curves, so that should be it. Go OK, and select that as its own water level surface. There we go. So we've got a water level in there, but what we also want is we've got some unintended triangles around the outside here, so let's get rid of those. We can actually use the same polyline as a boundary as well as a break line. So we can go add outer boundary. It's going to be type outer. It's going to be non-destructive, and we go OK, and go and pick it. And you can see straight away it's done what it needs to do and applied itself as both a break line and a boundary. So if we have a look, and if I've done it correctly, at those two surfaces together in the object viewer, there we go, got a nice blue lake behind our dam and our total surface, or a combined surface. Okay, we can go through and do elevation banding and that sort of stuff on the dam to figure out the volumes and things like that using the elevation banding analysis tools. But what I was thinking we should probably look at first, or at least have a look at instead, was cutting a spillway into this dam. So if you've done training with me, you may well have done this before. Let's go and have a look at one of these faces. So I'd like to cut a spillway into this portion of the dam right in the middle of the screen here at the moment. The way I'm going to do that is actually not to use the grading tools at all. You could if you wanted to, and realistically it would probably do a better job, but I'm just going to do it this way to show that you don't always have to use the grading tools. And I'm simply going to do it by making the surface by break line. Often if you're grading car parks, they're often done this way. Make a surface for a car park just because it is easier than trying to construct it using a whole heap of gratings usually. So let me go, and I'm simply going to make a 3D polyline, 3P, or get it from the ribbon. And let me see, where do I want to put it? Let's go from, alright, we'll sketch it in and see how it looks. Going from the crest of the dam. Oops, the crest of my dam, not sure what it is to be honest. I think that is there. Down to the point here. And I'm going to, let's just put my O snaps onto endpoint only, I think. Get rid of the nearest. There we go. And just step it around. I'm doing this just because I've got a curved face on the front of the dam. I don't really want to miss out any bits. Although it wouldn't matter too much. I'm just trying to get the levels right. Okay, snap to the top of the dam again. Nearest to endpoint. Shift right click lets you select an object snap just for that this one time. So I'm going to grab nearest and throw it on there if you don't know that. Then I'm going to come across the dam. Nearest again. and come down the front face some way near the bottom. Shouldn't have turned that nearest off. Let's get it right down here somewhere. Okay. Again, oops, where did that go? Snapping across the bottom face of the dam. Way to go here. Just following that contour. So you can make another user-defined contour if you want a specific level you want to run it to. Or we could do this at a rackish angle if we wanted to, but really the bottom of the spillway probably wants to be level, realistically. Let's try that. Back up to the top of the dam. And see if it closed. Alright, that should provide a bit of an interesting shape. So at the moment I've snapped it all the way around. What I could also drape that on the surface if I wanted to. So let's just show you how the drape command works. And this might pick up if I haven't snapped it exactly to all of the endpoints on those contours as well. It'll actually smooth that out for us too. So let's do that. In the modify tools in the ribbon, there is a command over here to grab elevations from a surface. So I'm going to grab that. Tell it the surface I want to drape this particular polyline on. This works for feature lines originally, but it works for polylines as well. 3D polylines, that is. Let's put it on the dam faces surface, and we're going to insert intermediate grade breakpoints as well, so it exactly follows that surface. So we'll go OK. That's the object we want to do it with. And you can see where it's crossing any of the triangles in that surface. It's a grey surface, triangles as well. It will put in some new grade points, so it exactly follows that dam surface. So hit enter, and it should have done it. These are new vertexes. Alright, so what I'm going to do is have a look in 3D object viewer, and it's given me a shape that looks something like that, which is looking about right for the moment. So I'm going to close that off and just do 2 more 3D polylines, 3P. In there. Just to put the bottom of my spillway walls in. Another 3P. Between there and there. Grabbing all 3 of those, I want to have a look at my object viewer again. It's a great way to check you've got it right, and that's not looking too bad. I'll probably tweak those top corners a little bit to get the walls a little straighter, so let me just give those a little tweak. Turn the nearest back on. Bring that into about there somewhere. And same on the other side. Tweak that one over. Should be fine. Okay. So to make my spillway, I'm simply going to make another surface and paste it into my combined surface to complete it. So back on the Home tab of the ribbon, Surfaces, Create Surface, give it the name Spillway. Let's make it a different style so we can see it distinct from all the other surfaces. Make it magenta. And into the spillway, I'm simply going to come down to the definition, add some more break lines. Let's call them body lines. Just what they are. The type is standard, mid-order distance is fine, so we go OK. Select that one, and that one, hit enter. And again, check it out to make sure you got it right. That's not too bad as a surface. Okay, and simply now add that into our combined surface. So again, find our combined surface here. Probably want to go into the surface properties, into definition, EG plus dam plus spillway. Make it easy for those following on. Go OK. And then just simply expand out the definition under the edits, paste in a new surface called spillway. And now with a bit of luck, when we have a look at the final total model, we've got our spillway running right up to our water level, which is good. Cool. Alright. Oops, got myself lost there. If you ever get lost in the object viewer, just use the view cube to get back to the right way up. There we go. Alright. Trick for young players, and old players too from time to time, is that interaction I was talking about between objects that are in the same container or site. So let's say, well, let me make an alignment, because alignments can be part of a site, and this is why you would normally keep alignments out of all the sites. Let's go alignment creation tools, call this site alignment. Type is fine, don't really want design criteria. Go OK. And let me go and just draw tangents, will be fine. So I'm going to draw an alignment that sort of sketches through underneath my dam here. Maybe out to there, up to there. Could be anything. That's trying to mark as an alignment, might be just taking a cross section through here. Now that alignment by default, because I didn't change it, will have been on the none side. So if I come up to the alignments here, there it is under the none sites, and it's working fine, hasn't affected anything. If, however, I select it, right click and go move to site, I can move it to the destination site as the dam. Yep, that's not one. And show you what happens if it's in the same site. Now, has it done it? There we go. A regen. You can see it's completely reject my contours, and I'll show you the reason why. Look at the object viewer, we get the Sawtooth Effect. It jumps up and down all over the place. If you ever see that, it's a really good indication that you've got either an alignment or perhaps another feature line at a different level, or an unintended level, from all the others which were working to put this dam together. So this produces the Sawtooth Effect. And really what it is the alignment is running down at the bottom of the, well, it's actually at zero elevation, because an alignment has no elevation. Or it may be a feature line at 50 meters elevation, which is different from the crest of the dam. So the grating is running between the two, because it doesn't know which level to use. So simply the way to fix that is to grab whichever object is the offending article, right click, go move to site, and I'm going to move it out to the none site or just another site I choose to make. Go OK. RE8, regen all. Should work. Oh, do we have to actually remake or refresh one of those surfaces, do we? Let's give it a go. Rebuild the dam surface. There we go. Rebuild on the dam surface actually flicks it back. Sometimes a regen will do it as well. You could see a regen did it the first time when I put that alignment in. And now the model's back to normal and not doing that crazy effect. So that's something that's very, very common. Just talking about gratings for a second. If you want to go and modify your gratings again, you can just select them. There's a tiny little diamond in the middle of them. Probably the easiest one to see would be up here. There's a diamond in the middle of the crest of my dam here to pick them. But what's often just as easy is to go into the grading creation tools from the ribbon again, and you can go and just make sure you're in the correct grading group and the correct surface again, and continue working with it. Go and edit them, etc., as you need to. Delete grading, edit grading. Will work fine as long as you're in the correct grading group. Finally, well, that's not finally. Let's do one more thing. Once you've got your dam created, people often will come to me and say, well, you know, we need some output out of this thing. How do we do that? Easiest way to do that is to get some set out points, which is probably what you want to go and set out in the field. So the way I'm going to do that is to come up in the ribbon to create points and just grab the point creation toolbar, first option. And you've got a drop down here which is for creating points on a surface. You can draw a polyline or a contour and get points created all the way along that polyline or contour. I usually want to pick the points that I want specifically, so I'll go just use the random points function here. So select surface. I'm actually going to use my combined surface here, which is my grey triangles in the background here, so I'm going to pick that. And then it says specify a location. So we've already got 2 points on the crest here, but maybe I want a couple of other points there, so I'm going to just select that one. Point description, I'm just going to call it set out. Hit enter. So I'll duplicate a couple of points there if I want. But then I can pick any point that I want just using my object snap around the base of the dam, for instance. Any points of interest, so changing in radiation there. Maybe this tip down here I want to point. You can see it's just grabbing the elevations of that surface, and that's where it's putting the point. And it's still using that set out description. I'm just hitting enter to accept that. I can pop one here, for instance, and we're getting the crest of the spillway. And there as well. Etc., etc. For me, that's the easiest way to get some set out points. Of course, you probably want to get those as a CSV file. You simply make yourself a point group, make a new one, call it set out, include with raw descriptions matching set star. We should see there's our point list. Let's grab all our set out ones, and simply to make a CSV file, we right click on the point group, go export points, tell it what format we want that CSV file as, and specify where we're going to write it. On desktop for now. So we should call it dam set out to be more precise. And that's all we need to do. We go OK and it writes out the CSV file for those set out points. Pretty straightforward. What we also might like to do, just to finish off, and before we see if there's any questions, is I had that final model that we were playing with, we saw initially in the before we started the demonstration itself. Had some little buses in there, so okay, let's show you how to put the buses on the top of the dam. So I'm going to simply, it's a 3D block that I've downloaded off the web. So just use the insert command, enter, insert from the ribbon, browse to it. There's my bus. That's going to be it. Insertion point on screen. Don't want to explode it. Scale and rotation keep the same. Well, I'll scale. Actually, I know this bus is a bit big. Let's make it 0.25, I think. Let's try that. Okay. It's not bad. And pop it in there. It's just popped it in anywhere at the moment, but if I use the command to raise it to the surface, that's going to make it a lot more user-friendly. So select my total surface, combined surface. Underneath where we had extract objects in the ribbon, once you've selected the surface, we can got a drop down and we can go move blocks to surface. It's going to move the bus to that surface, and with a bit of luck, we can select the bus, we can select the surface, we can select our water object viewer, and there's our bus sitting on the top of the dam. Cool, I think you should be able to see that now. And whatever else you want, if you want pinstock gates or whatever it happens to be, make a 3D block out of it and you can paste them in and have them all set and ready to go for a nice little presentation. Of course, in the object viewer, if you don't know already, you've got a save button up here, so you can save it as a PDF or PNG, or sorry, not PDF, PNG, JPEG, bitmap or TIFF. And just keep that as an image and rotate it around and do a bit more visualization with it, perhaps. From the upslope, upslope of the lake. Of course, you can also put a aerial photograph into your surface and have it even more realistic to get better visualizations just off the cuff from CiVil 3D. Alright, well essentially those are most of the bits and pieces that I was wanting to look at for the gratings. Let me just see if we've got any questions that need looking at. Okay, what do we got here? All haven't been answered yet. We have a scan. Sorry, I've just got to stretch my my meeting bar out of it so I can read them. Be good. Well, it's making it really hard to read, but let's see what I can do. Okay, somebody's asking, they missed where you do the polyline from the contour. Where do you do this? Polylines from, or making a polyline from a contour, you just pick your surface, whatever it happens to be. In this case, it's the contour surface. And there is a button here up in the ribbon called Extract Objects. That's the one you do. And you can extract anything that's currently displayed in that particular style as an AutoCAD object. That's where that comes from. Somebody asking about wanting to know the volumes in the dam at regular intervals. Let's see if we can do that quickly for you. Oops, let's cancel out of there, don't want to do that. Okay, let's go and do that. What I want to do is make a volume surface. There's new tools in 2013 that makes it easier to make a volume surface. So I simply select any surface I want. I'm going to grab all the surface, but it doesn't really matter which one. And we get the volumes dashboard up here. It used to be a volumes analysis tool, but they call it a volumes dashboard now. And this will actually make a volume surface for you while it creates itself. So hit the first icon here to make a volumes entry. Let's call it, and it says give it a name, water versus EG. Let's give it a style. We'll use an elevation banding style. I'm just going through this quickly, but if you want to download this webinar later on, you can go through it a little bit slower and copy what's being done. Elevation analysis 2D for style, and simply a base surface will be EG. No, let's do it the other way. Let's make the base surface the water, and the comparison surface will be EG. Don't want cut or fill factors, so we go OK, and it gives us, for a start off, the whole volume of the whole dam. Alright, that's good. And it gives us that volume, obviously, but we can do more with it. It's created the surface in the background. Which is our volume surface. So I can use the analysis on that by selecting it, go to surface properties, the analysis tab, do an elevation analysis on it. And let's just have, we've got some different options here that we didn't have before. We can make a range interval using a datum. Let's say, let's give us volumes every 1 meter with a datum of 0. We've got a tiny little bit of fill around the edge, just where that boundary is running around the surface is what it is. And we're going down to about 11 meters deep. Now it's doing all red, so we go OK. And there's our 1 meter banding. And simply what I'm going to do now is, sorry, your screens should be just catching up. There's your 1 meter banding now. What I'm going to do is select that surface, make a legend table for it, call it elevations. It's going to be dynamic, so if we change things it'll keep up to date, and make a table out of it. What would be nice to have is the volume, so I'm going to select that table by itself. There we go. Up in the table properties we've actually got a style already made, 2D areas and volumes, which gives us a table that has the volumes for each one of those bands, 1 meter bands, as it goes through the levels of the lake there. So you can see each increment of 1 meter has that particular volume for each one of those bands. That's probably the easiest way to do it. There is another tool. What is it under? It's under Manage? No. Analyze, perhaps. There is another tool, if I can find it. Stage storage. You can get stage, if you produce contours for the top and bottom surfaces, I think it is. No, it's probably we're working off the contours of the interior of the dam, I think, in the total volume surface. Stage storage can give you a tabular printout, which is similar to this, but it has slight differences, so it may be worth having a look at that if you're wanting to use that particular one. Okay, we're getting pretty much towards the end of our time here. I don't think there's too many other questions. How do you make a cross section or a long section through the dam? Just make your alignment and make an alignment through the dam, same as you would through any other object, be it well, let's do it. Just do a quick one. Alignment Well, we've got an alignment under here already, so let's grab that one. It's going to be wonky through the dam, but we might as well do it that way. Grabbing the alignment, we can make a surface profile from the ribbon. Tell it what surfaces we want to see. I'd like to see the dam face surface. I want to see the, hold down the control key, water surface and the EG surface. Add those into there. We can give them different styling. So let's give that one reference planes of 2, and that one could be a different reference plane. It's just different coloured ones. Go OK. I'm just going to accept the defaults for now. Create the profile view. You can go through and do your own profile views as you want. And we're getting a cut through the dam, water surface, and existing ground level along that alignment. And of course that's dynamic. We can play around, move that alignment, and that's all going to update as per normal. Okay, I think that's most of the questions. Is the bus block a 3D object? Yes, it's a 3D block. I just searched on the web for 3D blocks. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Yep. Okay, we're good. All right, so thank you for tuning in today. I'm just going to stop the recording at this point, and we'll get that loaded onto the